In a time where business is often mistaken for progress, the true power of focused intention is easily overlooked. Yet, lasting transformation rarely comes from dramatic overhauls or sudden breakthroughs. It emerges quietly, through small, consistent actions. Just 1 hour a day, used deliberately, can shift the course of your life. It is within this single hour that habits are formed. Clarity is gained. Skills are developed, and purpose is reinforced. When approached with discipline and intention, this hour becomes more than a routine. It becomes the foundation for a more meaningful, empowered, and purpose-driven life. In a world that constantly glorifies hustle, grind, and 16-hour workdays, the idea that just 1 hour a day can change your life may sound overly simplistic or even naive. Yet, this concept, rooted in the wisdom of personal development pioneers like Jim Rohn, reveals a fundamental truth about human potential. Transformation doesn't require massive overhauls overnight. It requires small, intentional acts done consistently over time. The power of dedicating a single hour each day to self-improvement lies not in its duration, but in the discipline, focus, and commitment it cultivates. Most people spend their days reacting to life rather than designing it. The distractions of modern life, endless notifications, social media scrolling, and compulsive multitasking, consume countless hours without offering meaningful return. In contrast, when you carve out one uninterrupted hour each day to focus on your growth, you're making a statement to yourself and the universe that your goals, health, relationships, and personal evolution matter. This hour becomes a sacred container in which your future is molded and your potential is activated. Intentional action means more than simply being busy. Many individuals confuse activity with achievement, filling their calendars with obligations, yet making little actual progress toward what they truly desire. Intentionality is about aligning your actions with your values and long-term vision. It means deciding, in advance, what this hour will be used for and showing up consistently, whether or not you feel motivated. Motivation is fleeting, but intention creates structure. A purposeful hour each day could involve reading a transformative book, journaling, meditating, planning your goals, exercising, or learning a new skill. Whatever contributes directly to your holistic growth. The compound effect of such consistent investment is astounding. 1 hour a day equals 365 hours a year, equivalent to more than 9 full 40-hour work weeks. Imagine what you could build, master, or improve if you devoted the equivalent of 2 months of full-time effort every year to a single aspect of your personal development. Most people underestimate the impact of daily effort because results are not immediate. But transformation is subtle. Over time, it builds momentum, strengthens habits, and shifts identity. You begin to see yourself differently. Not as someone who merely wishes for change, but as someone who takes daily steps to make it happen. This single hour also becomes a training ground for mental discipline. In a distracted world, focus is a rare currency. When you choose to disconnect from the noise and commit to personal growth, even briefly, you are training your mind to resist instant gratification. You are building the muscle of delayed rewards, which is foundational to any kind of success. Athletes train consistently to develop physical skill, and your 1 hour becomes mental training, refining thought, expanding perspective, and reinforcing your internal locus of control. Moreover, this practice begins to influence the rest of your day. When you win the first hour, or any protected hour, you carry that sense of clarity and accomplishment into your interactions, decisions, and behaviors. You become more intentional not just during the hour, but in the remaining 23. It sets a precedent for the day, reminding you of who you are becoming and why it matters. This internal alignment creates external shifts in productivity, in decision making, in the way others perceive and respond to you. This hour can also serve as a compass. It is the time to pause, reflect, and recalibrate. When used with purpose, it reveals whether you are moving in the right direction or simply drifting through life. You begin to ask better questions. What matters to me? Where am I headed? What do I need to change? The clarity that emerges from these reflections is often more valuable than any single achievement. It's in this space that you gain insight, perspective, and motivation rooted not in hype, but in grounded self-awareness. Intentionally dedicating 1 hour each day also builds trust with yourself. Every time you show up for this hour, you reinforce your ability to follow through. You prove to yourself that you are capable of commitment. This is especially powerful in a world where many people struggle with self-doubt and inconsistency. Showing up for your own growth daily rewires your self-concept. You begin to see yourself as someone who honors their word, who invests in their future, and who controls their time rather than being controlled by it. The beginning of the day holds a unique power that many people overlook. The first hour after waking up is not just another 60-minute stretch of time. It is the most impressionable period where your mind is most alert, your environment is still largely undisturbed, and your ability to set the tone for the rest of the day is at its highest. Jim Rohn's philosophy on personal development emphasizes not only what you do with your time, but when you choose to act. Winning the first hour means claiming the most crucial part of the day for yourself. Before the world begins to pull at your attention, before distractions creep in, and before your mental energy starts to decline. How a person begins their day is often how they live their life. The morning ritual sets the emotional, psychological, and physical baseline for all the decisions and interactions that follow. If you start your day in a rush, overwhelmed by the notifications on your phone or the stress of unfinished tasks, your entire day will likely mirror that energy. In contrast, starting with intention, clarity, and self-prioritization creates a ripple effect of order, focus, and confidence. The first hour becomes your launch pad, an opportunity to transition from sleep to strategy, from inertia to intentionality. Unfortunately, most people surrender the first hour of their day without even realizing its value. They wake up and immediately dive into external stimuli. Emails, social media feeds, and news headlines dominate their attention before they've had a chance to center themselves. This reactive approach leaves them vulnerable to external influence. Instead of shaping their day with deliberate choices, they begin by absorbing the priorities, anxieties, and distractions of others. The mind becomes cluttered, attention fragmented, and the capacity for original thought diminished. In essence, they allow the outside world to program their mindset before they've even decided what matters to them. Winning the first hour requires a conscious reclaiming of that space. It means resisting the urge to jump into the chaos and instead stepping into a controlled, nourishing, and empowering routine. Whether it's journaling, reading, exercising, meditating, planning, or simply sitting in silence, this hour is about starting the day on your terms. It is the foundation upon which the structure of your day is built. Without a strong foundation, the rest of the day risks collapsing under the weight of stress, urgency, and emotional reactivity. This concept is not about becoming a morning person by force or subscribing to some rigid ideal of productivity. It is about recognizing the strategic advantage of starting strong. Even if you begin your day later than others, the principle remains the same. The first hour of your waking day is your most powerful tool for directing your energy and attention. When you win that hour, you are no longer simply reacting to life. You are designing it. You are saying to yourself and to the world that you come first. That your mindset, goals, and values will lead the way, not the demands of others. Consistency in winning the first hour compounds over time. The small actions taken during this window become rituals of self-respect and discipline. They serve as a reminder that every day is a fresh opportunity to begin again. Even if the previous day was filled with missteps or setbacks, the first hour of the new day offers a clean slate. This psychological reset is essential for long-term growth. It allows you to recalibrate and reinforce the identity of someone who leads their life with purpose. The first hour also provides the space for mental rehearsal. When you visualize your goals, set your intentions, and affirm your identity during this time, you are predisposing your brain to seek alignment with those outcomes throughout the day. This is not mere motivation. It is cognitive priming. You are programming your subconscious to notice opportunities, remain resilient in the face of challenges, and prioritize what truly matters. This is a practice that high performers, successful entrepreneurs, and thought leaders across all domains consistently utilize. Not because it is fashionable, but because it works. Protecting the first hour also trains your ability to delay gratification. In a culture that thrives on immediacy and distraction, the discipline to begin your day without digital interference is a powerful act of defiance. It signifies control over your attention, a commitment to self-mastery, and a deliberate choice to lead rather than follow. This quiet strength reverberates throughout the day, allowing you to navigate pressure, demands, and decisions with a steadier hand. When you treat the first hour as sacred, it transforms from a forgotten piece of time into your most valuable asset. It becomes your anchor in the storm, your compass in the confusion, your reset when everything else feels uncertain. The quality of this 1 hour has the capacity to influence your emotional state, shape your behavior, and elevate your performance in ways that are disproportionately significant compared to the time invested. Winning the first hour is not just a personal habit. It is a strategic advantage in designing a meaningful and effective life. In the pursuit of success, it is easy to become enamored with speed. The modern world glorifies fast results, instant gratification, and the appearance of constant activity. People are told to hustle, to move quickly, to stay busy. However, this cultural obsession with velocity often comes at the expense of intentionality. Jim Rohn emphasized a principle that challenges this norm. Direction is more important than speed. In other words, it does not matter how fast you are moving if you are headed in the wrong direction. Without a clear destination, relentless activity becomes nothing more than aimless motion. Many individuals spend their days consumed by action. Their calendars are full, their to-do lists never end, and they are always in a rush. But despite all this activity, they feel unfulfilled, frustrated, or stagnant. The issue lies not in the quantity of effort, but in the absence of clarity. Action without direction is like rowing a boat vigorously in the wrong direction. You exert energy, but instead of progress, you experience burnout. You feel exhausted, not accomplished. This is why direction must precede movement. It gives purpose to effort and transforms motion into progress. Having direction means knowing where you are going and why it matters. It requires reflection, self-awareness, and the courage to define your own path. This clarity does not come automatically. It must be cultivated intentionally, often during quiet and distraction-free time, such as in the first hour of the day. During this time, you can ask vital questions. What do I truly want? What values do I stand for? What am I working towards? These questions anchor your actions in purpose. Without them, even your best efforts may lead you further away from your desired outcome. Direction also serves as a filter. When you are clear on your goals and priorities, you can better discern which opportunities to pursue and which distractions to avoid. This clarity eliminates the noise that often derails productivity. You begin to say no to tasks that do not align with your vision, no matter how urgent or tempting they appear. As a result, your time and energy are channeled into what truly matters. This is where efficiency is born. Not from doing more, but from doing what counts. One of the most effective ways to establish direction is to begin each day with a brief planning session. Before diving into tasks or opening emails, take a few minutes to identify your key objectives. What is the single most important thing I need to accomplish today? What actions will bring me closer to my long-term goals? When these questions are answered consistently, they shape a trajectory that turns days into a mission, not just a sequence of tasks. Direction also provides resilience. When setbacks occur, and they inevitably will, a person with direction adapts without losing sight of the goal. They understand that detours are part of the journey. Without a clear sense of direction, however, even minor obstacles can lead to discouragement or derailment. Purpose gives adversity context. It reminds you why you began and strengthens your resolve to continue. It turns challenges into stepping stones rather than stumbling blocks. The absence of direction often manifests as distraction. People without a clear vision are more prone to waste time on trivial pursuits. They fall victim to trends, react to every stimulus, and follow the crowd. Their actions are dictated by external circumstances rather than internal convictions. Conversely, individuals with strong direction move with quiet confidence. Their choices may not always be fast or flashy, but they are deliberate. Each decision is made with the end goal in mind. This consistency, though slow at first, builds momentum and eventually outpaces those who sprint without a map. It is also important to recognize that direction evolves. What you pursue at one stage of life may shift as you grow. The key is to remain reflective and aligned with your values. Constant movement without periodic reassessment can lead to misalignment over time. This is why building a habit of regular reflection is essential. When you consistently evaluate your progress and adjust your course, you ensure that your actions remain in service of your vision, not in conflict with it. Speed can be exhilarating, but it is often deceptive. It can create the illusion of progress while leading you nowhere. True effectiveness lies not in how quickly you move, but in how intentionally you advance. In a world that praises the fast, the few who prioritize direction stand out. Not because they move the fastest, but because they move the wisest. They know that without direction, effort is wasted, opportunities are missed, and growth is stunted. Direction brings meaning to motion and clarity to action. It is the foundation upon which sustainable success is built, regardless of how long the journey takes. One of the most widespread misconceptions in the journey of personal development and success is the belief that knowledge alone is sufficient. People often equate reading books, attending seminars, and listening to motivational talks with progress. While learning is undeniably crucial, it is only part of the equation. The real catalyst for transformation is not the information we absorb, but the action we take based on that information. Jim Rohn, a staunch advocate of disciplined execution, emphasized a truth that resonates with lasting impact: practice beats theory. It is not what you know that determines your success, but what you do consistently with what you know. The world is full of educated individuals who never translate their knowledge into action. They possess insights, ideas, and strategies, yet remain stuck in the same place. They are perpetually preparing, researching, and analyzing, but never initiating. This phenomenon, often referred to as analysis paralysis, stems from a fear of imperfection and an overdependence on certainty. People wait until they feel fully ready, until the plan is perfect, until all variables are accounted for. But the paradox is that readiness comes from action, not contemplation. Real growth begins the moment you step out of theory and into practice. Practice is the testing ground of knowledge. It is where abstract concepts are put to work and where real learning takes place. A person can read about communication techniques, but until they engage in actual conversations and refine their tone, timing, and empathy, those lessons remain theoretical. One can study every principle of fitness, but unless they get into the gym, stretch, lift, and sweat, they will never experience the benefits of those principles. Practice demands presence, commitment, and repetition. It is uncomfortable, often messy, and filled with mistakes, but it is also the arena where skill is born and character is forged. The beauty of practice is that it transforms knowledge into capability. When something is practiced consistently, it becomes embodied. It shifts from a cognitive concept to a physical or behavioral habit. Over time, repeated actions create neural pathways that make the practiced skill automatic. This is how confidence is built. Not by collecting more information, but by demonstrating to oneself, through repeated action, that you are capable, adaptable, and resilient. The confidence to speak publicly, lead a team, or make a difficult decision does not come from reading about it. It comes from doing it, refining it, and doing it again. Another advantage of practice is that it produces feedback. Theory can provide frameworks and expectations, but only practice reveals actual results. When you act, you get to see what works and what doesn't. You gain data from real-world outcomes, which you can then use to make adjustments. This iterative process, action, feedback, adjustment, is the foundation of mastery in any field. Without it, your growth is based on assumption rather than evidence. Feedback accelerates learning and deepens understanding, turning knowledge into wisdom. Practice also teaches patience and humility. It reveals that progress is incremental, and that mastery is not achieved in a single leap, but in a series of deliberate steps. It fosters a mindset that values persistence over perfection. Many people quit too soon because they judge themselves based on early failures, not realizing that those failures are an essential part of the learning curve. Through practice, failure becomes feedback, and setbacks become stepping stones. Each repetition, no matter how flawed, brings you closer to proficiency. The discipline of daily practice requires a shift in focus from outcomes to effort. Instead of obsessing over quick results, you begin to value the process itself. You recognize that each hour spent practicing is a vote for the person you are becoming. This mindset shift is transformative. It aligns your actions with your identity. You stop trying to be someone different someday and start acting like that person today. Over time, the practice reshapes not just your skills, but your beliefs about yourself and your potential. Incorporating practice into your daily routine ensures that your learning is not passive but active. The habit of applying what you learn each day, even in small doses, compounds over time. The person who practices for one focused hour a day will achieve more in a year than someone who spends countless hours consuming information but never implementing it. Theory without action is like owning a blueprint but never building the house. Practice is the construction. It is tangible, cumulative, and ultimately transformative. In the pursuit of personal success, people often focus on productivity, financial growth, and intellectual development, while neglecting two of the most vital foundations of a fulfilling life: relationships and health. Jim Rohn, whose teachings continue to influence millions, never spoke of success in isolation. For him, a truly rich life was holistic. It included strong, meaningful relationships and a healthy, functioning body. Without these, achievements become hollow and unsustainable. Investing 1 hour a day into your relationships and your health is not a diversion from your goals. It is the very essence of long-term achievement and personal fulfillment. Relationships are the fabric of our lives. They shape our experiences, influence our mindset, and provide emotional grounding. Yet, in a world dominated by deadlines, screen time, and digital distractions, genuine human connection is often sacrificed. People sit in the same room but remain worlds apart, each engrossed in their own devices. Time spent together becomes time spent adjacent. The richness of presence is replaced by the efficiency of communication. But relationships, like anything valuable, require attention, presence, and deliberate effort. They do not flourish by default. They thrive when nurtured with time, empathy, and shared experiences. Dedicating just one intentional hour each day to a relationship, whether with a spouse, child, parent, friend, or mentor, can significantly deepen emotional bonds. It does not require grand gestures or elaborate planning. A quiet conversation, a shared walk, an undistracted meal, or even just sitting in silence together can have profound effects. The value lies not in the activity itself, but in the message it sends: you matter, and I am present. Over time, this habit of intentional presence creates trust, vulnerability, and mutual growth. It strengthens the foundation upon which all other aspects of life rest. Strong relationships also serve as a buffer against adversity. In moments of stress, failure, or uncertainty, it is often not our bank account or knowledge that rescues us, but the people who stand beside us. They provide support, perspective, and the kind of encouragement that no amount of money or strategy can offer. This is why relationships are not a luxury to be indulged in once everything else is done. They are a necessity to be cultivated daily. They are not a reward at the end of the journey. They are companions along the way. Equally important to the equation of a successful life is health. The body is the vessel through which all your ideas, aspirations, and efforts must pass. If the body fails, everything else slows down or stops entirely. Without energy, even the most inspiring goals feel burdensome. Without physical resilience, the pressures of life become harder to endure. A sharp mind and ambitious spirit cannot compensate for a tired, sick, or neglected body. This is why daily investment in physical well-being is not optional. It is foundational. A health is not merely the absence of illness, but the presence of vitality. It includes strength, flexibility, endurance, and balance. Maintaining these qualities does not require extreme regimens or hours in the gym. 1 hour a day devoted to physical well-being, through walking, stretching, strength training, yoga, or simply breathing and being in nature, can dramatically improve your quality of life. It resets your nervous system, boosts your immunity, sharpens your focus, and uplifts your mood. It reinforces the idea that your body is not just a vehicle for action, but a partner in every pursuit. Moreover, caring for your health is an act of self-respect. It signals that you are worth the effort, that your future is worth preserving, and that your dreams deserve a body capable of carrying them forward. It also models discipline for others around you. Your children, your colleagues, your friends. Showing that health is not a side pursuit, but a core principle. It aligns your habits with your intentions. The creating coherence between what you say you value and how you live each day. The synergy between health and relationships is undeniable. When you feel good physically, you show up more fully for others. You listen better, respond with more patience, and engage with more enthusiasm. Conversely, when you are emotionally fulfilled in your relationships, your body tends to carry less stress, tension, and disease. One supports the other, and both reinforce the broader vision of a well-lived life. Making time each day to invest in both your body and your bonds is not a compromise. It is a strategic priority. These are the pillars that sustain your ambition, ground your identity, and amplify your impact. The time spent on these areas is not lost to productivity. It is what enables productivity to be meaningful. You do not need an entire day. 1 hour, offered with consistency and intention, can create the strength and connection needed to pursue your highest aspirations with clarity and endurance. The central message woven through each keynote of 1 hour a day can change your life is that transformation is not a product of massive overhauls or sudden luck, but rather the consistent application of time, focus, and intention. Dedicating just one purposeful hour each day can lead to profound and lasting changes across all dimensions of life. When you understand that 1 hour of intentional action can reshape your life, you begin to see time not as a passive flow, but as a powerful tool. It is within your control to use that time to move deliberately toward personal growth, skill development, and self-mastery. By choosing to win the first hour, you set the tone for the entire day. This early investment in clarity, presence, and focus becomes a cornerstone of daily effectiveness, giving you a head start mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. As the hours unfold, it becomes clear that direction is more important than speed. Rushing through tasks without a clear purpose leads only to fatigue and frustration. A steady, guided path, no matter how slow, yields far more meaningful results than frantic activity in the wrong direction. This principle calls for alignment between your goals and your daily actions, making sure that every effort moves you closer to your desired future. But knowing the right direction is only half of the journey. Practice beats theory reminds us that applied knowledge is where transformation truly takes place. Reading, studying, and planning are important, but until they are put into action, they remain inert. Practicing what you learn builds skills, confidence, and competence. It turns potential into progress and prepares you to respond with strength in the face of challenges. Finally, no pursuit of success is complete without attention to what sustains it. Relationships and health require daily investment because they form the bedrock of a meaningful life. A sharp mind and financial success mean little without a healthy body and people to share your journey with. Investing time in your well-being and your connections ensures that your achievements are grounded in purpose, supported by trust, and sustained by vitality. These 5 keynotes together form a philosophy of intentional living. They emphasize that change is not reserved for the privileged or the extraordinarily gifted. It is available to anyone willing to honor a single hour each day with focus, integrity, and purpose.